Do. Hey. This is cooking right now. Hey, look at all this stuff. Hey, look in the fridge. Hey, look at all that food. Hey, so my name is Jacob, and this is a pilot for my new YouTube show, Cooking with Jacob. I'm not really a good cook, and I'm just honestly have some spare time and needed to relax. And I thought that one good way to relax would be to make funny YouTube videos for you, the viewers at home who need a 20-second to 20-minute laugh every once in a while. And I agree, so I'm going to make this short YouTube video on how to make some awesome bacon if you don't want it gourmet and you're just sitting at home and you're like, you know what, I want some bacon, but I just sit at home and make bacon myself. That's me. I'm just sitting at home and I'm making bacon all by myself. I'm not going to store and buy bacon, but yeah, I told you never about the bacon. Okay. So I opened the fridge here. It's very important to have a well-organized fridge to find the bacon. Wait, where's the bacon? Oh wait, yeah, here's the bacon because you've got a well-organized fridge. You see it's right here in the front in a nice clear Ziploc bag. It's very good when you open up the raw meats to put them in a Ziploc bag. It's a good way for portion control. You can split big quantities of meat into small and put them in those Ziploc bags. It's very good to preserve your product. And I'm going to open up this bacon right here. And first thing I need to do, actually, you know, I'm so silly. Just like you people at home, I forgot about some of the most important things. I forgot to turn the stove on. Because that's very important for cooking, to have the stove on. So I got the stove on about medium high now, and that's a good temperature to fry the bacon. And you might be asking, Jacob, sometimes when I cook on the stove, I need some oil, some butter. And you know what, at home, you're right. Sometimes you need some butter, some oil. But right now, you don't, because the bacon makes its own grease, and it fries just fine in the grease it makes. So you don't have to worry about that. And also the great thing about making bacon is, say you make bacon at 3 o'clock in the day and you be like 2 hours later, I want some more bacon. Well, the great news is if you do that you usually are able to, wait, there's some smoke. Okay, this smoke is normal, especially if you have an electric stove, okay? That's why they put fans over the stove. As long as there isn't a big flame or anything flammable nearby, it's fine. But seriously, be safe in your kitchen. Okay, and I do not guarantee anything in this video. I make no guarantees. Don't sue me saying, I saw Jacob Troll and he said I would burn the house down. I didn't say anything like that, okay? It's just me. So you gotta be careful with your cooking. But okay, the fan is now on and keeping the smoke out. But as I was saying, what was I saying? I don't know, but yeah, it's important to have the stove on and to be safe, seriously. Keep your fire extinguishers in your house and make sure that you follow proper safety procedures. Speaking of safety procedures, bacon is raw meat. It doesn't matter if it's bacon or chicken or beef or anything. Unless you're making sushi or rare steak, raw meat is bad. And when you touch it, you gotta wash your hands. Okay? And when I say wash your hands, I don't mean that 5-second, I'm gonna dab my hand in hot water. I mean 20-second, I'm gonna say the alphabet song, wash my hands. Okay? Okay, so you gotta wash your hands. So the first thing I'm gonna do, because I already washed my hands before the show, is get out my bacon, because obviously my pan is getting hot. I'm going to get my bacon out right here, and I'm going to cook some bacon. Now you may be thinking, what is Jacob going to do while he's cooking on the show? Because if he's cooking normal, he doesn't have to tell us about his cooking stuff, because he's not a cook. And you're absolutely right. If this show becomes a success, I'm going to talk about all kinds of things. I'll talk about politics, more serious things. I'll talk about living your everyday life. I'll talk about a lot of things. If you know me personally, you know I'm a lot about humor and serious themes at the same time. And you'll see a lot of that in the show, I hope. You might see more than one or the other at a given time, but that's totally fine. So the bacon is now in the thing, and if you'll notice, our hands are now contaminated by the raw meat, which is bad. So I gotta go wash my hands and the tip of this because I just touched it. So I'll be right back. Now, if you see with my nice rotating camera, you can even see that I can wash my hands. See, look at this. I'm turning the water on about hot and half cold, okay? Washing my hands. Again, I do not make any guarantees that this is going to be a successful process for you. This is just common sense. Don't be suing me saying, he didn't wash my hands this way because he's not dirty. Guess what? It's your own fault because you probably didn't wash your hands right in the first place. But no, I'm serious. I'm just kidding. If you did wash your hands, something bad happened. I feel really bad. I'm sorry. Okay? But it is. You gotta wash your hands. It's a good idea between cooking. Okay? And this is just a fun show for some people to relax after work. Say you've been at work all day and you just want 20 minutes to goof off and see something to make you laugh a lot. That's what this show is for. It's not for people who like, I need to know how to cook. Because honestly, do I really look like I know how to cook that well? I don't. Okay. So, okay, Cooking with Jacob continues over here at the table, okay? Here we got the bacon. It's starting to sizzle and it's starting to Shazam. And if you want to, here, let me get you a close-up here. Look at bacon. See, the bacon, it's starting to get cooked. It's starting to, like, get a little not so pink there. You notice some of the pans cooking faster than the other pan. That's because on an electric stove with small eyes, the part over the eye is going to have a lot. Sorry, I'm coughing here a little, folks. The part that's nearest to the eye is going to have some serious cooking faster than the part not next to the eye. Just over here, I'm sorry. My co-producers are making it very hard for me to concentrate. It's okay. They're being very kind people. I love them. They're probably putting up a lot with me right now. And you know what? If you ever want to make a YouTube video, thank your friends and your family. Because you're probably putting them through all kinds of crap to make your little video. Sorry, I didn't mean to say crap. I apologize. Take that out of the feed. Okay. If I know how to edit a video, I fix that. Seriously, I apologize. But okay, seriously, I repent. It is a bad word. If a word is said, such as that should not be said, whether it's on the internet, whatever. Okay. Especially not while I'm cooking, because you don't want that to eat, right? Yeah, so no one wants that to eat. Okay. Yeah, I apologize. I'll edit that out later. Okay, well, I probably won't edit it out because I don't know how to edit stuff out. But it's okay. Next video, this is just a pilot. Okay, so seriously though, it's good to keep a clean mouth and while you're cooking. No, it's good. It's just good to use good language all the time. It's good fun and you don't offend anybody. And in general, it allows you to love on people. And on a serious note, it does allow you, especially if you're coming from a faith perspective, I'll go admit I'm an evangelical Christian, and at times in this video I will allude to that quite a bit because I believe it's important to share Jesus with everybody. Using good language is a good way to communicate with people and break down barriers to help talk to people, to love on people, and ultimately share Jesus with people. But also, just even if you're just loving on your neighbor and you want to help them out, using good language is a good way to help. The bacon is not burned, okay? Okay. But yeah, so like I said, this show is going to have some serious stuff, and it's good, you know what? Our walk with God is not just about going to church one day a week or going to some group meetings once a week, say it's a prayer group meeting. That is important, but there's a reason it's called a walk with God. It's a part of your every day. And nobody's perfect, but we should really trying to live a Christian life at every point in our life. So it's very important for us to take these little opportunities. Say it's just cooking with your family. Or say it's watching up on YouTube with your family. Or say it's making up on YouTube with your family while you're cooking. There's a lot of opportunities just to share love and humor and laugh. The Bible does say, in one of the letters St. Paul wrote, man, I should meditate. It's to meditate on all things, on good things, things that are righteous, things that are true. And you know what? Laughing and cooking while talking about good things and the good news and also just making people laugh when it's done in a way that is not offensive and not in conflict with the truth is a beautiful thing to do. And it's another way to break down barriers and meet people and talk with them about Jesus, or even just to talk with them and share Jesus in multiple ways. A lot of times we think of evangelism, we just think about sharing the gospel message, and that's important. But a huge part of the gospel message is also literally living it. Not just saying it with our words, but living it with our lives, loving on our neighbor as ourselves. Living out the gospel means both loving the Lord our God and loving our neighbor. And those two are not separable from one another, and that God himself is love. Because God is love, when we worship him, we are worshiping love, and we love each other. It's an act of worship to love your neighbor because you're recognizing in a way that you're recognizing God and loving your neighbor as well. But enough of that. There's not enough of that because it's awesome on much. But we're going to get back to the cooking format. You notice this bacon here is very well done. It's a little bit crispy, but it looks pretty good. Okay. Yeah. You see now, this one right here is still not a little done on the side. So you want to let it cook just a little more. And you notice actually here, I'm going to bring you a little closer to the pan. See all that grease there? That's all from the bacon. I didn't add anything to that. And it's cooking great. Okay, and I won't drop my phone in the grease, I promise. Okay. But yeah, folks, so I'm cooking the bacon and it's turning out really nice. And you know what? This bacon actually looks really good, legit. And by the way, this is Oscar Mayer's maple bacon. If you guys are interested in buying some, it tastes really good. We also cut our bacon in half at our family, just because we like to cut the bacon in half, you know, in smaller pieces. At first, I had a little bit, I should tell you that little story. Well, you see, I've been happily married now for about 7 months. Gonna be 8 months here pretty soon. And, actually, I'm sorry, it's 6 months, gonna be 7 months pretty soon. And you know what, there's a lot that I've learned the first few months of married life, and I love my wife to death. She is amazing. I love her, and you know what? When you're married, sometimes you have disagreements, and that's totally natural. It's about, the key is when loving your spouse to work them out in a way that is healthy. And you know, one of the little spats we had was about the size of our bacon. Now, when I was growing up, I had the long pieces of bacon because I was raised, we just threw the whole bacon in there. If we could, we throw the whole pig in the pan and cook it because we just like, my mom, when she made chicken, she would literally cook the whole chicken breast at once. And it was crazy. And you notice I just touched raw meat, so I'm going to come over here and wash my hand. Some people don't do this, but I used to work in fast food, so I take extra precautions. So we had a little fight, we were like, hey, I should be cooking the bacon in the full strip. Well, she said I should be cooking the bacon in the half strip. But those little spats could be solved very easily just by compromise and take time to know what's important to your spouse, what is important to them. Take time to listen and empathize. And those little things in the end are the key that comes out of it is not the outcome, the direct outcome, like what size bacon we have, but have we built a more loving relationship as a result of this discussion / agreement / disagreement? And you know what? I ended up compromising, and you know what? I like the bacon in the half pieces now. And I've been eating the half pieces of bacon for a long time now, and they're very good. And you know what? Sometimes my wife humors me and lets me make the whole slice of bacon. But you see, we compromise. I do some of it, she do some of it, but in the end we all happy because we love on each other. And that's the key when you have disagreements, is to ultimate love on each other. And when you do make mistakes, to realize it and be confessional. Okay, now this is one of the most serious moments. Being confessional is a very important part. And especially speaking as a Christian to the Christian walk, is a key part of the Christian walk is being confessional and realizing we do make mistakes. And when we do make mistakes, recognizing them and owning up to them. It sounds like a simple concept, but living our life as confessional is one where we don't seek to blame others, but we seek to take responsibility. Or maybe even not take responsibility is not the right word, crap. Because in a way you do, but in a way it's also accepting forgiveness, knowing that as a Christian our sins have been paid in full. So in a sense, the full responsibility of our mistakes is paid by God. In a huge sense. But at the same time, the Bible also tells us there are going to be some consequences of what we do on here on earth, and to some extent we really do. Taking responsibility and owning something is doing what we can to make amends for something, not in the spiritual sense of trying to please God, but trying to rectify the error that we made, recognizing, realizing that the spiritual amends and the spiritual price is already paid. And out of love, we act towards another person, and we act in trying to make do for our error because we recognize it was wrong, and we love the people that the error has hurt, and therefore we try to do better. That's really a very important part of the Christian walk. But that's a very serious note, and it's something to think about. But now you see the bacon is now cooking kind of fast because the grease itself is hot, and the hot grease is surrounding the bacon. So it's not like before where you have this whole pan. You see, when we started, this part of the pan really didn't have that much oil, and it still doesn't. But you see, when there's not that much oil in the pan itself doesn't heat that quickly because it heats by conduction. Conduction is the process when you've got metal touching metal, heat transfers over it. But there are quicker ways to conduct heat. And the fact is, usually, the pan will be hottest with the direct source of heat for a good long while. Which in this case happened to be from when we started cooking. So the outer pieces of bacon didn't cook as fast. But the inner pieces cooked quicker. Now they're cooking at a semi-even pace because the grease itself is the same temperature, or hotter. And the grease is what's cooking it at this point. Now see, this is a really good piece of bacon for those of you who really like crispy bacon. It's not quite burnt, but it's really hot and juicy, and it's really well done. I don't know about you guys, but when I cook my meat, I want it well done. I don't want the raw meat or the meat that might fall apart in my pans, all that stuff. I want the meat that's definitely done, and I'm not afraid that it's going to come back and bite me because it's still alive. I want the meat done when I do the meat. So I'm not someone who does the raw steak. As people say, I want the steak medium rare. I usually don't do that. I respect people that do, but I'm usually not. One time, actually, this year, I went to have some sushi at a sushi restaurant, and I was going with some friends and family, and they introduced me to the sushi, and
Hi, I'm gonna steal my husband now. Bacon's done.
No, the bacon's not quite done, and the show is not quite over. I love you, love. Can we talk about this bacon? Is it something that I need to help? Because I need to finish the bacon in the show.
Anybody with ADD can't watch this show.
Well, we both have it, and I'm making the show, so.
You're baking the show.
Yeah, I'm making the show, but legit, you need something I can help. Say what? Oh, she needs some help. Oh, okay, I'll help her here in a second. Okay? Okay. But you see, yeah, the key, now see, that was a good example of compromise. This particular show, because I don't know how to stop my camera and start it again, I really kind of got to finish the show and learn more about how to work my camera. So my wife understands, ow, that was a really bad idea, and I'm about to wash my hands because I just touched it on me. My wife is very understanding, and right after the show, I'll be glad to help. And if it was an emergency, I would cut off the show and either send it off as it is, or I would have just gone ahead and, stop making the show. Because, it's important to listen to your loved ones and your spouse, and to treat them with respect, and to especially consider their needs above your own. It is a very important thing to do. But okay, so now the bacon's cooking considerably faster, so you notice that last batch came out like 2 times quicker than the first batch. I forgot what I was talking about at the very beginning, so I'm going to go on a semi-serious tangent. Yeah, because I kind of forgot, but yes, the bacon itself is cooking much quicker now, and this is actually a good example of, let me think, I know we spoke a little bit about conduction on a scientific note, but also the grease itself kind of works a little bit by convection, because convection is the process by which liquids heat, in which a current of heat starts flowing through a liquid, therefore making things heat that way. And technically the grease itself is hot enough to where I'm betting that's probably happening, but I don't really know because I'm not a science expert. I just dabble a little bit in quantum physics and some other science things because I like it. But that wasn't quantum physics actually, that was just basic third grade science of the whole conduction convection thing. I took the SOL tests in Virginia and I did pretty good on the SOL test. But yeah, get back to the cooking. The bacon is doing fine. Yeah, the bacon's cooking quite fine. And you know what? There's another topic that I might venture in some of these shows. I might talk a little bit about politics. I'm a very interesting person when it comes to politics. I don't mean to sound prideful, but there are not that many people who hold my political persuasion. And personally, I'm still working a lot of it out. I definitely know on many social issues, I do tend to lean pretty conservative. For example, I consider myself very pro-life. And I've formally supported Ron Paul, who supports more of a libertarian platform, but I'm not really sold on all the libertarian issues in particular. I believe there's a time for the government to step in and a time for government not to step in. On economic issues, I tend to lean, we need to cut back, but we can't kill ourselves while doing it kind of thing. Yes, I do understand we need to cut back and have conservative budgets in some ways, but I do not believe we should be cutting from healthcare and education. Healthcare, and I mean healthcare, not disease care. I mean a healthcare system that works and prevents disease, that treats people like people, and helps people catch things before they become a huge problem and encourages healthy lifestyles. That's healthcare. And education, where our kids are equipped to go out into the world and do what they would like to do, and also empower not just our country, but a new kind of a global workforce kind of thing, where yes, helping their country and helping, in a way, even the planet, but also just being able to go out to the world with the skills needed to succeed in the workplace. Also just be able to think and to discern, what does this mean, and be able to think for themselves. I think that's a critical value. I'm going to become a teacher, actually. So I would definitely not advocate cutting funding from there. I definitely advocate restructuring of some funding, moving funding around. But I believe 2 things you can cut from is this nation's healthcare and this nation's education. As far as foreign policy, I am both a pragmatist and an idealist. And here I'm about to wash my hands again because I touched the wrong meat. I worked in fast food. We used to say washing hands, and everyone say thank you when you wash your hands, because that's what we did in fast food. Now everyone was washing our hands. Okay. Wash my hands here. But foreign policy. As far as United States foreign policy, I'm a pragmatist in that I think we need to recognize the effects that have been had of the fact that the United States has been the major military power over the past 50 years. The Soviet Union was most powerful for about 40 years. And China is rising pretty quickly. But in the global age, is often referred to, and I'm washing my hands again because I touched the trash can. The global age is often referred to as the Pax Americana, which means the peace of America. It's a reference to the ancient Roman, the idea of the ancient Roman, Pax Romana, the peace of Rome, basically means the New World Order is largely governed by United States honestly our military peacekeeping force slash military power, which essentially in a way means we've become almost an empire. Personally, I do not find that desirable. I think we should have a multi-power situation that is peaceful. In the end, I mean, when it comes to political philosophy, the end note on me is that the only way true peace will come on this earth, and I mean true peace, not just the illusion of peace, is going to be ultimately us going to God. And I believe that's experienced on a very personal level. And so as far as the governments being able to figure things out, I mean, I do believe there will come a time when the government institutions themselves will no longer be here. It does say every nation, tribe, and tongue will bow our knee and confess. But that, in the end, I don't know if that necessarily means governments. I don't really put my stock in the government. I respect the government. I really respect what the United States has done. I really respect what soldiers have done. But I also am critical of honestly, I'm very critical of our foreign policy. And while I think we need to be pragmatic in understanding the effects and the disaster that can be had when we immediately pull out of a place, or we also need to realize that many countries view us as a bully and as a power that takes away legitimate power from them. And the bacon is almost done. It's only got about 30 more seconds. But just to end that note, I think it's important for us when thinking about our foreign policy to realize how we would feel if other countries in the world were pushing us around the way we often push them around. And just start to really take the attitude of loving our neighbor. Realizing we're in a place of influence and a place of power at this moment, but also realizing we need to treat people with respect. So, okay, getting off the political note a little bit, we're just now finished doing the baking. You notice there's some smoke. That's why it's important to have a fan, because I've set off the smoke detector. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. Well, it can be really bad. And if there's ever a grease fire, don't put water on it. It's a bad idea, long story. But okay, I'm turning the stove off now. And in some fires you put water on, but not a grease fire. A grease fire, you need to use a fire extinguisher, or it's actually covered up and suffocate the fire, because grease actually floats on top of the water. It's really bad. But I just turned the stove off, you see, and the stove is now off. And I'm going to go ahead and move this pan over here. Eventually I'm going to dump the grease at a location, unfortunately in this case our backyard, but really, maybe that's not a good idea. If someone sees this video and wants to comment a good place to dump your grease when you're done cooking, I would love it, because I don't like putting it down the drain. But I feel bad dumping it outside. At Hardee's, we have a place, they took it, but I really don't know. So if someone would love to leave a comment on that, it'd be great. You guys have been a great audience. This is just a pilot show, but this has been Cooking with Jacob. And as the final thing you're going to see on the show, I'm going to show you the final product. Yeah, you see, that's a great bacon right there. But okay, thank you guys so much for watching the show. If you watched it and lasted to the past 22 minutes or so. But thank you again. This show, I don't know where it's going, but I love you guys, believe it or not. Well, I may not know you personally, but seriously, I love you guys. More importantly, God loves you. And peace be to you guys. Peace to you. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find a good way. Traditionally, I tell people shalom when I say goodbye to them. It's a traditional Hebrew greeting or blessing. Just thank you guys so much for watching the show, and I wish you all the best. God bless. Bye.